Evening, guys. Well, Heroes just ended, and tonight's show is called It's Coming. And it starts out with where Mr. Petrelli's grabbing Hero's head, right? And Ando grabs him by the eye and makes him blink. And they find themselves back in Japan, but Hero thinks he's 10 years old. And he's doing like what kids do when they're 10 years old and find out they got a superpower, you know, putting mustard in people's seats, and it makes everybody freeze and everything like that. And then he flashes them back to a comic book store. That's later on in the show. And meantime, Mr. Petrelli tells Gabriel that he knows that he's the one that saved Peter when he went out the window, but he didn't get killed, he just got hurt. And he puts him in a room with Elle, the woman, you know, the girl who can shoot the electricity and let all the guys leave from you know, Sector 5. So she's like really mad at Gabriel, and she's trying to blow him up, toast him up with her electricity, and it's not working. I mean, it's burning up his shirt and all that stuff, but he's not dying. And now, while Peter, Charisse and Petrelli, Mr. Petrelli, they started talking about Guido, who's Mr. Petrelli's old partner, right? And he's the one who knew, and I know, I think everybody who watches the show knows, that Claire and Claire's blood is the catalyst to what can save everybody. But they really kind of don't let you know that, but she lets you know that at the end of the show. And the Pinehurst guys that you think are trying to capture Peter, and aren't there to capture Peter, they're there to capture Claire. But Peter turns around, he saves the day, lets go of these big steam pipes, or fire pipes, whatever, and they get away from those two bad guys. Now Elle is still trying to kill Gabriel, and they stop, and he uses his power to break her bonds, and they start bonding together, you know, and be friendly. And he says he's sorry that because he must remember he killed Elle's father, took his head off like when he was Siler, when he did, like he does with everybody. And Nathan and Stacy, they go to visit Mr. Petrelli back at Pinehurst, right? And Mr. Petrelli tries to get Nathan in, you know, that same deal where, you know, he'll be the front guy, run for Senate, and then run the world, you know, whatever. And then Stacy and Nathan are having a talk outside of Pinehurst, and he says that he's going to go back to see his mother, right? Where Matt's already there with Daphne trying to help Mrs. Petrelli, where he like goes inside of her head, and while he's in there, Daphne shows up and stabs him in the back, and so does Mr. Petrelli. He shows up. Now this all in sort of like a dream form because they're inside and Mrs. Petrelli's head, right? And Mr. Petrelli's saying that women will always stab you in the back and all that stuff. But Daphne tells Matt, you know, the cop, that she loves him, and he pops out of it, and he's okay. And now Claire and Peter show up because they've gone back to check on the mother too. And that's when you kind of see the difference between who's going to be the heroes and who's going to be the villains. All the people that are at Pinehurst, Stacy's trying to broker a deal with Mr. Petrelli to make Nathan the face of the Pinehurst group. And Claire is telling them, Mrs. Petrelli is saying, well, the only thing we need is the catalyst to, stop the problem, the end of the world. But also, they're finding that Charisse is making these experiments, and they're not working out very well. The people have got that same scaly thing he has, but in a worse form, and the guy he's working on asked him to kill him. But they're also attaching everything to the eclipse. That's why it's called It's Coming. The eclipse is coming. And in the last scene, you see Mr. Petrelli using one of his powers to, because he's taken on all the powers, so he's got the drawing power too. And he's drawing the eclipse. And then you hear in the previews for next week that everyone loses their powers when this eclipse comes. So I don't know if they just lose their powers while the eclipse is on, or if they lose their powers for good or what. They don't really tell you that. And that's pretty much the end of my, I hope, condensed synopsis for tonight. I know it's a long list of notes that I didn't use very much of. I just went on what I remembered. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you all for your participation, and I will catch you back on the tube. Oh yeah, Heroes comic book store, where he finds this comic. It's called Ninth Wonders, like on the ad here, and that's when he figures out what powers he has and who he's supposed to be. But we'll find out more about that next week. Then it's getting late. I'm exhausted. See you later.